It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, end zone, yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Welcome on back in to the Full Court Press second hour here with Jason Walker alongside Eric Frandsen. If you guys want to join the show, feel free to text the Young Power Sports of Logan text line 435-339-0321. We're here on at least 1390 AM and streaming online. We back on the FM dial?
I think we're back on the FM. Let us know. Roll call if you're tuning in, or if you're not on the FM yet. Switch it over and let us know if 106.9 is working. We know we've had some engineers working on a few things. It was off for a little while, but give us the thumbs up or the thumbs down on the 106.9 FM. But we should be fine everywhere else.
Yeah, if we got the FM dial back, then we're there on 106.9 The Fan. We're on 1390 AM, streaming online, 1069thefan.com, the 1069 The Fan mobile app, and of course, available afterward on our podcast. Unfortunately, about an 8-minute chunk of our first hour podcast got lost. But we'll have the rest of it up there. Our discussion on the lawsuit between Utah State, Colorado State, Boise State, and the Mountain West. Just a lot there. Like I say, 8 minutes was lost. That's still about 22 minutes that we were talking about that.
We covered a lot with the various merits of the case, who may have a stronger point in certain aspects of it. Because there are, I think both sides have some arguments on various aspects of what's at play here. So they couldn't figure it out in mediation. And so it's likely going to go to court. And we'll just see if they eventually settle out of court or if it's going to be, another courtroom drama for college sports and what comes of that. So we're definitely keeping a very close eye on that because that absolutely affects Utah State and the type of money they have to come up with because they had to pay money to join the Pac-12. Then the Mountain West wants them to pay money to the conference, to the Mountain West Conference to leave. And then the Mountain West wants to also hit the Pac-12 up for poaching penalties. So there's a lot of money swirling around with quite a few schools. It's not just one, but there's a number of schools that this is affecting. So it's worth keeping a very close eye on.
Yeah, everyone's doing their best to try and wring as much money out of the situation as possible because money is king in college sports.
We're in a lot of places.
Yes, that's true. I guess it's not just college sports.
5452-8003. Thanks for the confirmation. Happy to be fully operational once again.
Yeah. This radio station is fully operational. No. Don't need to go through the whole terrible impression that I was starting there just now. But as we keep going through, and we talked last hour about how close we are to football, we're getting closer, and as part of that, I've been doing the opponent preview series. My written version continued on with Volume 7 today, San Jose State. Although we're going to be previewing on air, we're about a day behind, the release. Of course, next week we're going to be talking about, the article and our audio segment will align just because of the way the schedules work. Because I've been releasing 4 per week by design, but we're doing 5 days a week, our preview on air. But today we're going to talk about Hawaii. And this is, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure how exactly to be thinking about Hawaii. Because they're just kind of a weird team. Because last year they go 7-6. But, they just didn't feel like that good of a team. Where, they're able to, barely beat New Mexico. They got crushed by Utah State in what was kind of a weird game there. And I mean, you can't blame it entirely on losing Braden Shager because, they're their backup quarterback who beat New Mexico. And Utah State was running away with it anyway before Shager even went out. I'm not sure he would have really made much of a difference. But going into this season, they have a decent amount of returning talent. They've got some good players on the defense. They return, if I remember correctly, and I'm not mixing them up with San Jose State, where I believe they return most of their wide receiver group, where they have 2 guys returning who caught 60-plus passes last year. They do return, I think, their starting running back, except that their starting running back, wasn't very good last year, and they barely even used him. Hawaii basically abandoned the run. So, there's enough indication, I think, Hawaii can be a roughly 500 team. But I just don't know what to make of it because a lot of times they're inconsistent. There's also the fact that no matter what happens, Utah State just seems to always beat Hawaii. They're on a 6 or 7 game win streak against Hawaii. They have not lost against Hawaii. At least I don't believe they've lost to Hawaii. They have not lost to Hawaii in the Mountain West era. They're 7-0 against them, and I think it's 8 wins overall, if I'm not mistaken. They've
had some doozies of some games.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that dramatic comeback in the Gary Anderson era. They've had some highly entertaining games between these two teams, but you're right, for whatever the reason is, Utah State always seems to have Hawaii's number. And this is an interesting team, as you've noted. They've got quite a few wide receivers back, but they do have a new quarterback, though he did play some last year, but not enough to count against his eligibility. But he'll play. Alejado will be the quarterback. He's short, he's diminutive, but he doesn't make many mistakes, which is going to be really interesting. And we can get more on that. But the thing about Hawaii that's probably the most intriguing to me is they made a change at defensive coordinator a year ago. And they made some big strides with their defense. And they could be, that's the thing to watch for them this season. Do they continue that progression and continue to be even more aggressive on defense and more challenging for opposing offenses to move the ball on them? So that's what's going to be interesting to me to see. Does Hawaii continue to make that progress on their defense? Because before, defense was not their jam. They didn't really. That was just not an emphasis for them at all.
Something they did around Hawaii for a few years.
No, but that's something that's been changing lately. So does that continue, or was last year just kind of a weird outlier and they kind of go back to what they've normally been like? So their offense could be interesting. Again, they want to try to fast pace, lots of snaps. They want to
throw the ball a ton,
throwing a lot. But will their defense make life difficult for opponents?
And that's kind of the difference between them being a 6-win team or a 9-win team, or even a 4-win team and a 9-win team. Because if they had a great defense, or have a great defense this upcoming season, they could be a pretty dangerous opponent. Although a lot of that would depend on how well their redshirt freshman quarterback comes in. How well is he able to be a starter right away? And you mentioned Michael Alejado, where he basically had 2 games where he played notable snaps. He did have one attempt against, I believe, Northern Iowa in a game against an FCS opponent. So he gets in briefly, gets to throw one pass, ran it one time. He appeared in a game for what I think, based on the stats, looks like he just had a kneel down against Fresno State. He had 1 rush for -3 yards. That sounds like he just knelt the ball. But then mentioned Braden Shager getting injured against Utah State. He ends up playing. He was split in times with another quarterback whose name I cannot pronounce and I will not try. But they were splitting time at quarterback once Shager went out. But Alejado goes 11 of 12 for 111 yards, and the only touchdown Hawaii scored was thrown by Micah. And he also ran the ball 8 times for 8 yards. He got sacked a decent number of times, but he showed some decent quickness back there. Again, he's 5'10", but he's pretty quick. But then in what was technically his first career start as a true freshman, and this kind of tells you Hawaii's attitude toward offense. true freshman quarterback, first ever start. I know it's at the end of the season. This is game 12, so by then coaches say, oh, he's not a freshman anymore.
Yeah.
57 passes in your first start as a true freshman. And 57 passes, you can have a game where you throw 57 times, but if you're having a bad game, you only complete like 21 of them. You throw like 3 interceptions, maybe a couple touchdowns, but he completes 65% of his passes, so he goes 37 of 57. That's a pretty dang good completion percentage. 469 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Throw on top of that 10 rushes for 54 yards. And you got a guy who had more than 500 yards of total offense and 5 touchdowns, no turnovers as a true freshman. And that's impressive. And I know it was New Mexico's defense, but heck, Utah State's defense, I don't know, kind of maybe. I mean, he completed a lot of passes, but the offense didn't move a ton when he was in there at quarterback.
Yeah, Alejandro he's diminutive in stature. If he's truly 5'10", then that's maybe in cleats.
Yeah.
On a
Do you
little bit
stand
of a
next to him
mound.
at Media Day?
No, but some things that I've seen of him.
Was he even there at Media Day?
No, they sent it was a wide receiver and a linebacker. Or was it a corner? No, I can't remember. But he was not among those that were sent. Which is interesting because he's from the Las Vegas area. So you think,
yeah, but usually they're not sending freshmen to Media Day.
I think the wide receiver was also from the area. But anyway, but this is a guy that, he may be diminutive in stature. He is a gamer, and he doesn't necessarily put his team at risk. So he's not he's a gunslinger, but he's not a gambler, if that makes sense. So it doesn't look like he forces throws. If it's not there, he's going to throw it away. But more often than not, he's making throws that give his team chances and his wide receivers chances. So he looks like he is the right kind of quarterback for Timmy Chang's offense. He's not a scrambler. The last couple of quarterbacks at Hawaii have been scramblers, and maybe that's hurt Timmy Chang's style a little bit and what he really truly wants to do as for his team on offense. Alejandro is going to be that true gunslinger, spray it all over the field, and not necessarily look and then tuck to the ball and run. So that's going to be the other thing interesting to watch for Hawaii. Is just this is his Chang's third year coming into being a head coach here. So a little bit more experience as a head coach. He's learned some things, the good way, the bad way, and he's got a quarterback that he's very high on, even though he's young and a little bit small. He's very high on his confidence and his ability to be accurate.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that. Oh, sorry, I got to turn my mic on. It's entirely possible that this is a guy who has all of the talent to be an effective quarterback, but got overlooked because he's 5'10". And I get a little annoyed when people talk about, and I'm not throwing this shot at you because there's a bunch of other people who I've heard talking about short quarterbacks as well, because you got McKay Hillstead down at BYU and he's not much taller than Alejandro, but talking about how that'll impact quarterbacks. And look, at the college level, you can be 5'6" and be a good enough quarterback. Sure, it's going to impact you. But at 5'10", if you've got an arm, if you've got enough athleticism, it might be a little harder to see. But heck, if you're 6'2", you still can't see over a 6'5" offensive lineman. They're still taller than you. There's still guys that got their hands way in the air, and it's hard to see down the field, even if you're 6'2". So unless you're like Spencer Petras tall, or he was 6'5", 6'6", you're having a hard time seeing over the line of scrimmage anyway. And so I don't think his height is really going to impact him that much. At that point, the biggest detriment to being that small is potentially being injury prone. Because if you're 5'10" and 180 pounds, so there's a lot more impact when a 350-pound defensive lineman falls on top of you at full speed, as opposed to being a little bit bigger. So I think there's a chance that Alejandro could be a dynamite quarterback, kind of hidden in a small package in Hawaii. He could end up breaking out. Now, I think I said this before, because I think we would talk about this in the quarterback tiers, where, again, I'm kind of on the Alejandro train, where it's like, it's very possible that he'll be the most statistically productive quarterback, but not necessarily the best quarterback. And I think I want to make sure there's a distinction there. But this is a guy who could very easily lead the Mountain West in passing yards and touchdowns. Of course, the important thing at that point is, does he lead in efficiency metrics? He completed 70% of his passes last year. But again, his two performances, the ones that we're kind of basing our understanding of his skills at, we're basing that off of the two teams who had the worst defenses, not just in the conference, but just about in the country.
Yes.
So that's where his two great performances come from. How is he going to handle really good defenses, improved defenses, or just, again, better than last year's Utah State and New Mexico defenses? He's got to be able to do it against those teams, too. And he's still relatively inexperienced, but I'm really high on this guy. And so if he makes it work, and he's got a decent amount of returning guys in the offensive line. He's got two receivers, guys that caught 60-plus passes last year. He's got those guys back. He's got some other guys in the pass game back as well. So he's got what he needs around him. And that's what I think if you're Utah State, you're a little bit worried about, is if you have a freshman quarterback who shows promise and he also has good tools around him, who knows, that could, I don't know if it'd be like super hard to stop, but like that's more and more advantages to Hawaii and less, the disadvantages of having an inexperienced quarterback. You don't get to enjoy as many of those advantages of facing an inexperienced quarterback if he has good tools around him so that his inexperience has less of an impact on his game. If that makes any sense, I'm kind of rambling there. But yeah, when I add all that up, it makes predicting this game tricky because you're in Hawaii, right? This game's in Hawaii, right?
Yep.
So you're in Hawaii, and I have some of these thoughts about, okay, I'm kind of high on some of the players on Hawaii. But at the same time, like, Eric, Utah State still hasn't lost. They didn't lose to Braden Shager, and he was better than Mike Alejado. And they didn't ever lose to him. They didn't lose to some of the other great Hawaii quarterbacks they faced, some of those high-powered offenses. So, like, I didn't feel comfortable picking against the Aggies in this, even though I think there's plenty of reasons you could pick Hawaii, but it's just like, it's hard to pick against that history because Utah State, good, bad, or otherwise, they're beating Hawaii one way or the other.
Right, and when we talked to Bronco Mendenhall in Las Vegas, he's like, look, we just ran out of time. We were starting to figure things out against Hawaii.
Yeah, this was the New Mexico game.
In the New Mexico game last year for his squad. And so I think he's now got a better grasp as to what Hawaii is all about. Certainly he's going to know more about Micah Alejado. By the way, it was Pofeli Ashlock and Jemai Otis who we spoke with, the wide receiver and linebacker.
Yeah, and Ashlock is one of those guys. Or is he one of those guys that was the returning?
Yes, he's a returner.
Yeah, and I believe he's one of the guys
expected to be an impact player for them on offense. So, yeah, I think that Bronco Mendenhall and his coaching staff, they're going to be a little bit more familiar with Hawaii, what to expect. Utah State has a good track record with them. But Hawaii could be pretty explosive on offense, and they're getting better on defense. I don't know if I'm enough to say a comfortable win, as you've said in your written preview. I am going to pick the Utah State to win, but I think it could come down to the wire. I think it could be close.
Yeah, I think it can be an exciting game. I did lean a little optimistic with the comfortable win, but it's like, I don't know. They tend to beat
That's
Hawaii.
what history says. I mean,
it's hard to pick against
until they
that
can
history.
beat the Aggies. You got to go with Utah State.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and it eventually does happen because New Mexico finally beat the Aggies. A couple years ago, San Jose State broke a losing streak to the Aggies. It was like 6 or 7 games. So it can happen. Don't guarantee it, but again, until Hawaii shows otherwise, I would tend to pick the Aggies.
Now, one thing do need to point out of this, your preview does not mention a kick time. It will kick off at 10 o'clock p.m. time.
Did that get announced, or did I just not put that in there?
Utah State announced it today when they also announced officially the New Mexico.
So I got to go in and fix that now.
Yeah, so it'll be a 10 p.m. kickoff. So it's going to be a late night for those of us following that game, but I hope that you tune in and be a part of it. But they do those games later. I've always argued, why don't the games in Hawaii start at like 1 o'clock there? So it's like somewhat normal back home, but they will always get rained on if they do that. So if they do it later, if they do those later kicks, they're less likely to have very much rain, at least not as much rain.
Does it like always rain in the day in Hawaii?
Pretty much almost rains in the middle of the day. So you're less likely to have rain if you do it in the evening. So I don't know. They also just announced, was this yesterday, that they have finally settled on what they're going to do with that old stadium.
Yeah, they've been talking about that for years.
So they finally have settled. They're going to get $400 million in state money to help with this. And it's expected to be completed in 2029. So it's still several years out. But here's the thing, $400 million sounds like a lot of money. Should be a nice, big, beautiful stadium. Well, it's only have 22,500 seats.
Really? They were talking about building a stadium with like 35,000 plus. They were gunning.
Yes, they've
really
definitely scaled it back. Now, there's definitely a trend throughout sports that big, expansive stadiums aren't the trend anymore because people want amenities. They want to be closer to the action. They're willing to pay for that. Otherwise, they'll just stay home and watch it in their comfortable living rooms. So this appears to be following that trend, but that seems like a really steep price tag for only 22,500 seats.
Yeah, it better be a really nice stadium.
But I guess it's more than just the stadium itself. It's kind of the area around it.
The whole entertainment district theme.
Renovations. Yeah. So they've been sitting on this, debating on this for a long, long time. And it sounds like they have finally settled on what they're going to do. So they haven't demoed the old stadium. It's still there. Which doesn't make sense to me. Why don't you tear it down? You're not going to use it anymore. Just tear it down. But now that they actually have the funding in place, they have their plan approved. Now they can start on some of that project to tear down the old arena and build up this new one.
All right, there we go. We're going to go ahead and take a break. We come back. We've got more top 25 Aggies. And then some bowl projections. I know, Eric, you've got them in front of you, and I need you to not look too closely because we still got to do bowl basketball or bogus.
Well, these are the ones I have in front of me are only Mountain West related.
Okay. So that's good. But yes. We'll see which Mountain West teams and if Utah State is projected to be in a bowl game. Will the disrespect continue for the Aggies, or is there somebody that believes in them that they can get to bowl eligibility? We'll discuss that next here on the Full Court Press.
Les Olson IT is your source for top quality technology. We carry the latest desktop and laptop PCs in stock, configured to your specific needs, and backed by our award-winning support team. And if your business demands high-performance hardware, we offer custom-built computers that can tackle any task. We also offer great computer accessories like monitors, keyboards, speakers, Fujitsu document scanners, and more. Get a quote today. Les Olson IT.
Make it 5 years in a row. Advanced Heating and AC is honored to be named gold medalist for the best of Northern Utah in the AC HVAC category. They thank you for your support and vote of confidence in their company. You have many choices when it comes to your home's heating and air conditioning system. Make sure you choose the 5-time gold medal winning company, Advanced Heating and AC. Call 752-7272 or stop by their showroom west of DI, online at advancedheating-ac.com.
The patio is open. The chips are endless. Drinks on tap. You know it's got to be Cafe Sabor, Cache Valley's best Mexican restaurant, gold winner in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Experience Locals Day every Thursday with a huge burrito, endless chips and soda, only $7.95. That's a complete lunch for just $7.95. Finding any lunch under $10 is nearly impossible. Every Thursday, drinks, chips, and massive burrito, just $7.95. The patio, the sun, the fun at Cafe Sabor in the historic train station on 6th Weston Center in Logan.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
It's happening, the warehouse parts sale at Young Power Sports of Logan on Saturday. It's just a couple days from now. Saturday, August 16th, 10 a.m. to 4:30. Young Power Sports of Logan is clearing out all overstock parts with discounts up to 75% off. Sorry, 75% off tons of parts, 2019 and older. Polaris RZR in general, Can-Am, X3, and Defender, and a whole lot more. If you ride it, Young Power Sports of Logan has probably got a part for it. But when they're gone, they're gone. So don't miss this one-day blowout. Again, that's August 16th, this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. It's a Young Power Sports over on South Main here in Logan. Get the parts you need. Save up to 75% off only at Young Power Sports of Logan. So 'tis the season for bowl projections, Eric. I know nobody has played a single game yet in college sports, but we're not only going to predict which teams are going to make it to bowl games, which is obviously a conversation the Aggies are certainly interested in because they're going to be probably on the fringe of that, but which bowl game are they going to be in, which is a semi-accurate science because there's some bowl tie-ins and some, you know the prestige of which bowls teams might be able to get into. But we're going to have some fun anyway. Not going to be too much of a killjoy and make fun of what we're about to do. But of the Mountain West teams, it was CBS Sports that released this bowl projections.
Okay.
It's the one that I saw. Who do they have getting into a bowl game out of the Mountain West?
So I would think Boise State. I would think UNLV.
Eric, you got the list in front of you.
No, this is, again, these are only Mountain West Bowl tie-ins.
Oh, the bowl tie-ins?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you had the list from CBS Sports. Okay.
No, so I have not seen it. So this is my guess. I would guess Boise State, UNLV, San Jose, Fresno, Colorado State, probably Air Force. So I'd say 7 teams out of the Mountain West.
So let's see. You had Boise State.
Yeah.
So they predicted them to make the college football playoff.
Ooh, okay.
Which I suppose counts as a bowl game. Who else did you have on there?
UNLV.
UNLV. They've got them in the LA Bowl. Basically, I guess since Boise State would make the playoff, you get UNLV in the LA Bowl.
Be the Mountain West representative in that. Okay. San Jose.
San Jose. They've got them in the Frisco Bowl.
Okay.
A tie-in between the American Conference USA, MAC, Mountain West, basically the G6.
Right.
Essentially.
Okay.
So, yeah, they got them going up against Houston.
Fresno State.
They're down there lower on the screen. They're in the Cure Bowl against Louisiana.
Okay. Colorado State. Do they have the Rams bowling?
They do. They have them in the Potato Bowl.
Oh, okay.
So going up against Ohio.
Then the last one I threw out there was Air Force.
Yeah, they do have Air Force. They were in
probably in the Armed Forces Bowl.
The Arizona Bowl.
Arizona Bowl. Okay.
So those aren't the only Mountain West teams in there. Every single one of them that you guessed are in there. But they actually have 2 more.
2 more
that they predict to be bowling. Can you guess those ones?
Hawaii hosting their own bowl.
Yep, that one.
Wyoming.
Not that I'm aware of. I should double check. I have to do Control F here.
I think that'd have to be.
I thought you had the list down, so I didn't make one.
That'd be a real stretch for Wyoming to get there.
No, but they've got Utah State going bowling.
They have the Aggies.
They have them in the New Mexico Bowl.
Wow.
It's a bowl game that I've been to before. That'd be interesting to go back to New Mexico.
So the Aggies would make 2 trips to Albuquerque.
Basically, yes. They would play East Carolina, that's a nice trip for them, going from Carolina to... So which Carolina is East Carolina in, by the way?
Yeah, are they Northeast Carolina or Southeast Carolina?
I feel like there's more... I know, never mind. I had the states backward. I had the geography back. I was thinking North Carolina, there's less east, but I forgot that the tapering off of North Carolina is on the west side of the state. There's a bit of coast on both of those.
Well, it's an interesting projection to have Utah State there. A lot of places where you look to see win-loss projections for the Aggies. I've seen a lot that say 4.5. There have been a few that have said 5.5. But I haven't seen anybody give them more than 6.
Yeah, so that's predicting it's predicting the over by potentially 2 wins in some cases, or just picking the over on 5.5. So for a team predicted to have roughly 4 or 5 wins, predicting 6 is optimistic. It's the optimism that's usually reserved for people who are in Utah. that kind of optimism hasn't really existed among national outlets because they're all the ones saying, they're going to win 4 games. They're going to be like 120th team in the country. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit surprising to see that optimism. Like, I'm thinking the Aggies are going to a bowl game. Like, that's kind of where, like, when I go through all my written previews and I look up, like, which ones do I say or win, like, I'm adding it up to about bowl eligibility, I think, is where it's going to land. So that optimism exists here.
Yeah.
But seeing it from CBS, like, I don't know. Does CBS like the Mountain West? I think they like them more than most of the other outlets do.
Probably. But that's encouraging, to others are noticing. And a lot of it, I think, is reflective of the schedule that you play, too. When you take a closer look at the schedule and the situations for the Aggies, who do they play, where and when, and what is the experience of the coaching staff and some of the players that you have in key positions, then you take a closer look at that, and I think it becomes easier to predict Utah State in that bowl eligibility discussion than maybe it might have been a few months ago when we're in the desert of sports information and what these teams look like and what their rosters look like. We're still somewhat there for the Aggies for various reasons, but interesting, though, still to see a national outlet predicting Utah State going to a bowl game. Can Albuquerque, New Mexico handle 2 doses of Bronco Mendenhall in just a matter of months apart?
Depends on how that game in October goes.
Yeah, that's true.
If they lose that game in October, like, they might spitefully show up just to, of course, then they might think if you buy a ticket, you're supporting Utah State. So I don't know if they, maybe they, of course, if you don't buy them like through Utah State, because you have to like sell your allotment of tickets.
Yeah, that's true. That's kind of the dirty little secret about bowl payouts. To get that level of payout, you need to sell your allotment of tickets. And so if you ever plan on going to a bowl game, make sure you buy your tickets through your university institution. Because one, you want to sit with other fans that are rooting for the right team. I think that's important. You don't want to be finding yourself in the midst of all the opponents. But you also, the tickets, each school is allotted a certain amount of tickets, and what they sell goes to what their bowl payout is. It's not an exact number. Like if you see, there used to be these lists of all these bowl payouts for different games that you'd go to, but you have to factor in travel costs and you have to basically buy and pay for your allotment of tickets before the game even happens. And then you have to try to sell those to get to your ultimate bowl payout. So there's a lot of times when schools go to bowl games, it costs them money. Only when you get to the high-profile bowls do schools actually make money off of those bowls. That's why going up to Idaho is to the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. It's actually really good for Utah State because it's cheap to get there. Fans can get there pretty easily. Utah State has had more success making money off of bowl games going to Boise than just about anywhere else.
Yeah, so it's the thing they wanted. So maybe they'll end up in the potato. If they go bowling, maybe they'll go to the Potato Bowl again.
I can see that.
But New Mexico Bowl's not too much worse because isn't that like basically the next closest, at least of the likely options? Because your other options are Texas.
Or somewhere in the Dallas metro area.
Yeah, you got a couple different bowl games
down in Tucson,
Texas.
But yeah, I mean, Albuquerque, it's not bad. Utah State's been there a couple different times. I've heard good things about that bowl experience, plural now. They've gone down there for those games. It's worked out well for the team. They've had good hospitality there. So that, wouldn't be the end of the world.
On the Young Power Sports of Logan text line, again, if you want to join the show via the text line, 435-339-0321, 5338, asking how many college football playoff slots are G5 teams eligible for? I guess the answer, so you have the automatic qualifier for the G5, that's 1. There's 4 that they can't get because they belong to the Power 4 automatic qualifier. So that's, I guess, technically 8 that you're eligible for. Functionally eligible for, it's 1.
Yeah.
Maybe 2. That's what I would say. Theoretically, it's 8.
Right.
Functionally, 2.
Yeah, theoretically, if UNLV had a stronger year last year, and that Mountain West Championship came down to
Yeah, like if Boise and UNLV were both undefeated.
Right. And then it came down to who's going to be Mountain West champion in that game. That last year, that game was going to determine which Mountain West school is going to the college football playoff. But conceivably, if you have two teams that are undefeated, they've had a great year, maybe they've picked up a nice win against a P5 school, and they're getting a lot of buzz and attention, it's conceivable that the winner and whomever loses that game could still make it into the college football playoff. But it's kind of unlikely.
Yeah, although probably more likely, and both those teams couldn't go undefeated to meet each other in the title game because they met each other during the season. But like probably the more likely scenario is like the champion of the Mountain West and the American getting in. That would be the more likely scenario.
Right, that's probably the more likely.
One of them getting in on the merits of their rank, the other getting in on the merits of being the highest ranked Group of 5 team.
Yes.
Before we go to break, let's reveal our next player on the top 25 Aggies of 2025.
The Cache Valley Media Group's annual Top 25 Aggies rolls on. Up next on the list is defensive end Inoka Migau. Migau is heading into his 5th season at Utah State. The 6'4", 265-pound senior started the first 2 games of last season before an injury forced him to sit out the remainder of the year. Across his 4 previous seasons, Migau has played in 22 games with 5 starts, accumulating 27 tackles, 1 sack, and 3 tackles for loss.
Yeah, Inoka Migau, defensive end. She'll be an effective player for the Aggies, I believe.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun catching up with him just earlier this week, Utah State football practice. And this is a big guy. And how he gets used is still a little bit of a mystery because according to Utah State's roster, they list him as an outside linebacker. But there's also some cases where he's played more of as a defensive end. So he's kind of in that body type and experience where he could creep up and be on the line, and or he could drop back and be part of the linebacker core. I put that in quotes. So he's a guy that's versatile. He likes mixing it up at the line of scrimmage, but he also likes applying pressure and getting after opposing quarterbacks. So this is somebody that missed time last year, a lot of time, but he's healthy. And when he is healthy, he can be a playmaker, and getting back into the fold and being into the mix, I think is an exciting opportunity for Utah State's defense.
So I was having serious deja vu when we were playing this because like we had a conversation and I was like, did we already reveal him? And I just got this wrong, but it's because you did the interview with him earlier this week, and we had this whole conversation about the kind of defensive end that he can be. And I was like, now we had this conversation already, Eric. This is a guy. It's like, yeah, I think he's going to be an effective player. Didn't we go on for like 5 minutes about this, about the kind of, where he's got this big size. He's 6'4", 265 pounds, like borderline interior defensive lineman, but he's going to be playing outside linebacker and defensive end. Like, yeah, I'm looking forward to what Inoka can bring this year.
It wasn't part of my interview that I played. It's part of a separate interview that you'll hear later this season when they do Know Your Aggies. But I asked him what his hobbies, and he said his hobby is just get back into the gym and do weightlifting. So he's a strong guy, and he enjoys putting muscle on his frame. So excited to see what he'll do for Utah State defensively.
All right, we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to shift our gears and talk about the Utah Jazz. The NBA schedule came out today for all 30 teams. What does the Jazz's schedule look like? What national TV games do they have, if any? What advantages, disadvantages may it have? We'll have that next here on the Full Court Press here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
It's that time of the year. Fresh zucchini is everywhere. And at Old Grist Mill, they're baking it into the perfect special. The Old Grist Mill is making warm, fresh, baked zucchini bread, just like Grandma used to make. Simple ingredients and fresh zucchini to create moist, flavorful bread the old-fashioned way. It's the taste of the season. Stop by South Logan, or Smithville to grab a loaf for $2 before it's gone. And don't forget, Old Grist Mill makes all your favorite fresh bread, scones, muffins, and now serving breakfast in Logan and Smithville. Dine in, take out, curbside, or catering. Old Grist Mill is here for you.
When grid failures and severe weather cause power outages, your business might take a hit, or at home, you could lose your refrigerated food storage. Generac Standby Power Solutions help ensure an uninterrupted power supply. Generac is the #1 brand of standby generators. Get yours today from Golden Spike Electric, your trusted source for safety and security. Golden Spike Electric, powering your peace of mind. Online at gscgenerators.com or call 257-3016. They also service other models.
Do you know a veteran in need? After leaving the military, many veterans struggle to find their way home. Because to a veteran, home isn't just a place, it's an idea, a feeling. Nation's Finest understands the challenges veterans face. Through the VA's Supportive Services for Veteran Families program, we help veterans and their families struggling with rent, employment, and other housing-related costs. Today, Nation's Finest operates more than 30 locations in California, Arizona, and Nevada. For more than 50 years, we've helped thousands of veterans in these communities build happy, healthy, and purposeful lives. And our team is committed to supporting those who've served and their families for another 50. To get help, visit nationsfinest.org or call 1-833-468-9676. That's 1-833-468-9676.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Valley Heating and Air Conditioning wants you to feel the love as they give away and install 5 new furnace and air conditioners to families in need. Mountain Valley Heating and Air is donating HVAC systems, equipment, materials, and installation services to help deserving families who need a little extra support. They need your help in those nominations. You can nominate a family by going to mtnvalleyhvac.com. It's MTN, it's the abbreviation for mountain. mtnvalleyhvac.com, and click on the Feel the Love tab. And the nominations are open through August 31st, so basically until Utah State football season starts. And then once those nominations close, they'll select 5 families to receive those new furnace and air conditioner units, and they'll be selected between September and October. So Utah Jazz, season grows ever closer for them. The schedule reveal, I know in the NFL, the schedule reveals like this whole big deal, and everyone spends an entire week, fawning over all this. Even though like the NFL schedule, like the most predictable thing, because like all the teams you're going to play. It's systematic which teams you play in the NFL.
But they release it. Every team has their own unique way of doing it, like where they're going to play. And
the Chargers pioneered some really
is it a
cool
Minecraft theme? Is it based off of some movies and an old like video game? Whatever.
And there's scandals that come out because they do something.
Do they have approval to do that?
They get a little cheeky. But let's not talk about the NFL. We're talking about the NBA. And so I guess the point there is it's a little more toned down. They don't get as goo goo gaga over like NFL media does with theirs. But it's it's the same thing in the NBA. It's systematic. You play every team in your division 4 times. You play every team in the other conference twice. And then the rest of your conference, I think you play 3 times, I think is how the math comes out. Maybe some of them you only play twice, or some of them you play 4 times. But you're playing a bunch of teams in your conference 3 or 4 times. You're playing everyone in the other conference twice. It's just what order are they in? Do you get a series of just really tough games? Do you have any crazy road trips? Do you have enough homestands that offset the road trips do you take? It's a nightmarish task for NBA schedules to put together to make sure that nobody's getting screwed over. Although inevitably somebody kind of has to.
Yeah.
Somebody has to have the worst schedule because that's just how it has to be. I don't envy the task of NBA schedule makers.
Yeah, especially when you have venues that double for NHL and all this other stuff.
Just all this crazy stuff. I have to applaud them to some degree, even if they're screwing our team over. But I'll tell you what, it seems like the Jazz made off decently well for the most part.
Well, here's a couple of interesting notes about the schedule. They have 3 5-game road trips throughout the season. They have 1 6-game homestand which is in January, mid to late January. They have 14 back-to-backs. 11 of those occur in the first half of the season. So the back half of the season, they only have 3 back-to-backs. So that's interesting. And then, of course, they open the season. Utah Jazz open the season at home again for the 5th straight year. This year will be October 22nd with the LA Clippers and John Collins coming to town.
There we go. One interesting thing I noted, and this comes the account Positive Residual. I got it from Andy Larson, who was piggybacking off of the work that those guys did, but noted that because there's this talk about like how much rest you have, like if you're playing like the 4th game in 5 days, and like, but maybe your opponent that you're playing in that 4th game got like 2 days of rest, so that kind of rest advantage game. The Jazz apparently have the highest number of games with rest advantage, 14.
Interesting.
And then they're in the middle of the pack for games with a rest disadvantage at 11. And then as far as the amount of travel they have to do, the miles, they'll apparently travel 44,686 miles, which is, again, about middle of the pack in the NBA. So, you know, it seems like they didn't get screwed over as far as bad things on the schedule. There's not too many back-to-backs. There's not too many road trips. They get some rest advantage, you know, some extra rest advantage games. So, I mean, feels like they did okay. Mind you, I don't know if it matters that much because they're going to lose a bunch of these games anyway.
It's going to be a young team, so
yeah,
it won't matter as much as if they were a veteran team.
The rest advantage isn't even going to help them. They're young. They can go forever anyway.
Yeah. A couple other notes. The Jazz do play on a couple of holidays. They play on Halloween. But all of these holidays are on the road. Halloween at Phoenix. New Year's Day, they'll be at the Clippers. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, they'll be at San Antonio.
They play on MLK Day?
They do.
That's usually a big...
A lot of teams do on that day. But a lot of them are like middle of the day when they play.
I guess I wasn't sure if that one... Because like Christmas is like the exclusive club. I wasn't sure if MLK was like... Maybe just about everyone plays that day.
Jazz, it's a 6 o'clock tip, so...
I couldn't remember if that's how they did that, if that day was like exclusive or if it was one where they try and get almost everyone to play. Maybe I had it backwards.
Jazz appear on national TV only twice.
Does Peacock actually count as national TV?
Well, part of their national TV package. So there's Peacock, NBC, Amazon Prime, ESPN, and ABC. Those are all their national partners.
That is too many.
And so the Jazz hosting the Clippers on January 27th is supposed to be on NBC and Peacock. And then the Jazz only on Peacock on February 23rd when they are in Houston to take on the Rockets.
So
but no games on Amazon, none on ESPN, none on ABC.
Is there anything on NBA TV? Because I know that's where the Jazz got shoved into as far as quote unquote national TV games.
That.
But like I'm looking at ESPN's schedule. Maybe they haven't announced anything for NBA TV, but it shows nothing.
Yeah, I don't think they've announced that just yet. Because I think just today they announced the TV partners and what their national broadcasts are.
Yeah.
A couple other quick games of note, just when players of note are coming to Delta Center.
So John Collins.
John Collins to start things off on October 22nd. January 10th, Colin Sexton is coming to town with Charlotte. On November 10th, Rudy Gobert, Joe Ingles, Minnesota.
Does that really count as notable anymore? It's been like 3 years.
It's been a minute. Jordan Clarkson with the New York Knicks in town on March 11th. And on March 30th, Cleveland comes to town and Donovan Mitchell. So those are some former Jazz players involved. But what about Cooper Flagg, one of the Dallas Mavericks coming to town to see what we missed out on for Jazz fans? January 8th is when Dallas will play here. January 22nd, Victor Wembanyama in San Antonio will be in Salt Lake. And Kevin Durant in his new uniform for the Houston Rockets. That'll be on December 1st.
It reminds me, I was watching an old game from like the 1980s, and it was a Seattle broadcast. And you're talking about, players coming to home, and they spent, like 8 times throughout the game, they were talking about Michael Jordan coming to Seattle and talking about how you had to buy a season ticket package just to be able to buy a ticket for the game Michael Jordan was coming into town, which is like, yeah, it's an attractive draw.
Yeah.
So there's some games you pick out because you want to watch a particular star, even if they're not on your local team. Let's go to break. When we come back, we got pick 6. Eric's drawn up his lines. I've got mine. And we'll try and predict things that happen over the weekend here on the Full Court Press.
Girls, insist he take you to Jarek's. Picking out your wedding ring is an experience you will never forget. Come to a place where the mood is right and the setting is perfect for romance. Jarek's Fine Jewelry in Logan. The perfect collection of memorable designs, classic creation, and modern marvels. If you want an intimate, romantic experience you will never forget, then insist he takes you to Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's at 930 North Main in Logan.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's.
Hi, it's Emily, and here at Serenoni, we believe everyone deserves the perfect blanket. That's why we offer a wide variety of sizes and fabrics, from our softest minky to cozy lush, breathable bamboni to textured waffle. So you can find the perfect fit for babies, teens, grandparents, and everyone in between. Established in 2006 right here in Logan, come visit us and find the perfect blanket at our store on 10th West next to iFit. Serenoni, wrapped in comfort, gifted with love.
Need a reliable partner for your medical needs? Look no further than Triton Medical and Transportation. We offer top quality medical soft goods right here in your community. From incontinence supplies and oxygen needs to medical transportation. Whatever you need to stay comfortable and healthy, we've got you covered. Trust Triton Medical and Transportation, caring for our community with every step, every mile. Call us today at 435-557-6687 or visit us online at mytritonsupply.com. Triton Medical and Transportation, because your health matters.
The Aggies, Jazz, high schools, even the Pee Wee's T-ball team. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, The Fan.
Welcome back into the Full Court Press. As we get ready to wrap up the show, we will do so with what we do every Thursday, Eric. We try and predict what will happen over the weekend by trying to look at these 6 things. Well, 6 things, sometimes 7 things that we believe will happen. Let's get into pick 6.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way.
It's the Full Court Press Pick 6.
Ever since March Madness ended, I am so bored.
6 things we think will happen this weekend.
I don't know how the whole betting thing started, but it's fun.
Still funny how much I, rail against gambling, and we just have something that's just basically talking about betting over-unders. But it's all for fun.
This is all for fun. Do not take our advice. Do not take action based on these things that we discuss.
As I've said before, if you follow what I say and use as gambling advice, you deserve what happens to you. So I won last week, broke your streak of 1 week. So I'm going to choose who goes first, and I'll let you go first, Eric. What are your 3 lines?
Okay. First, we're going to start in Major League Baseball. We've got a 2-game series, Saturday and Sunday. Chicago Cubs hosting the Pittsburgh Pirates. Saturday, they're on FS1, by the way, middle of the day. So, RBIs by Seiya Suzuki, Saturday and Sunday combined. So, RBI, runs batted in by Seiya Suzuki, 2.5.
I'll go under.
Okay, I'm going to take the over.
All right.
Sunday night on ESPN, it's the Little League Classic. It's going to be in a really cool venue in Pennsylvania. It's the Mariners and the Mets. Sunday at just after 5 o'clock. So Cal Raleigh for the Mariners, home run. Will he hit a home run in the Little League Classic? Yes or no?
No.
I'll say yes.
All right.
And then to the WNBA, their exclusive showdown on Saturday afternoon on CBS. Sabrina Ionescu and the Minnesota Lynx. Well, she's with the Liberty, taking on the Lynx. 3-pointers by Sabrina. Set it at 3.5. 3-pointers made.
I'll take the under in that as well.
I'm going to take the over.
All right, so go to my lines. I looked through the NFL preseason schedule, and it looks like every single game is AFC versus NFC. I don't know if they do that on purpose. I feel like they have to, because there's 15 games from now until Sunday. And so that's 15 games of AFC versus NFC. So I was like, what the heck? Over under on AFC wins. Just throw 7.5.
AFC over NFC. I'm going to take the under.
So, yes, take the under. So, I'll take the over. What the heck? I have no clue what I'm doing there. There's no way you can predict. All I know is the Baltimore Ravens are probably going to win because they went undefeated for
they don't like to lose in the preseason. Yes.
Apparently they care. Combined all-purpose yards for Jalen Royals and Kyrese Rowan in their next respective preseason games, over under 30.5.
Games that take place this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend.
What was the over under?
30.5 for both their everything.
I'm going to take the over.
I think I'm going to take the over as well. I think I set that too low. Then RSL, they're taking on Charlotte this weekend. Goals by Real Salt Lake, over under 1.5.
I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to take the over. And then another soccer one, but this is Utah State. They play tonight. This is our tiebreaker, Utah State. Their goals against Washington. I didn't do this on purpose, but I said the same line. Over under 1.5 goals for the Aggies in their season opener.
I'll take the over.
I'm gonna take the under. I think they'll be a bit rusty. They'll probably still find a way to win, but I'm gonna take the under.
The home for Sky.
And there goes that. That happened again.
Sports Talk Radio, KL.
That's not supposed to play till later. That keeps firing automatically. But we got another couple of minutes with you guys.
It wants to fight its way in.
I know. They're trying to kick us off the air. They're censoring us.
They've already done enough of that last hour.
Yeah, sure, it was worse last hour. They didn't even tell us we were off the air. Well, the texters obviously did. But anyway, see there. What were the other notes that we had on here?
Well, just one other thing. This we kind of touched on the Jazz schedule. It starts, like we said, in early October. The first game of the season is the 22nd. Their preseason starts on October 8th at Houston. Their first preseason game at home will be October 13th with Dallas coming to town, and Portland a few days after that on October 16th. So they've been making a lot of renovations at Delta Center. They feel like they're ahead of schedule, but those are going to be some of your first opportunities to see. I don't think it'll be dramatically different when you go to a Jazz game. I think it'll be more pronounced if you go to watch a Utah Mammoth hockey game to see how things have changed there. But could be slightly different layout when you go to a game, if you can go to a game, to watch the Utah Jazz for the first games happening in mid-October.
Do you think any of the rookies will actually play? Do you think Ace Bailey will be held out again? And all these guys that they basically sat them for the entire summer league, they can do that again in preseason?
Oh, no, they will absolutely play.
I know, it's just really frustrated by that because that's the one reason you watch summer league is so you can watch that top rookie you picked.
Right, you want to see their development. Do they?
Or just see them in a uniform.
Do they progress throughout the summer? Do they actually learn a little bit more? How well did they take instruction?
Yeah, you just want to see them in your team's colors for the first time. And we basically didn't get to see that. Ace Bailey played one iffy game, then played one decent game, and everyone was like, oh, he's going to be amazing. It's like, he scored 19 points, guys. Let's not freak out over it. And it's like, I wanted to see him actually grow and progress because he progressed from one game to the next, got better, and then it was like, all right, he did that one good game. It's like playing video games. You lose to the same boss over and over, and then you finally beat him. It's like, all right, that's it. That's what we're ending on. We're done. I win. No takebacks. Save. That's it. That's what it felt like with Ace Bailey. Of course, obviously, it was just 2 games, so it's not like he failed over and over until he had the one game. But hopefully we get to see these guys in the preseason, and hopefully they don't embarrass themselves.
And we'll have those games here on The Fan once again. We'll have your local home for both Utah Jazz and Utah Mammoth.
All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. Make sure to tune in tomorrow.
The home for Skyview Sports. Sports Talk Radio, KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390.